right out the gate, I'm going to get into my first topic, first segment. Y'all know I'm not a fan of public schools. They should be abolished. They should be completely eliminated. And the entire system as we know it, even as you understand it, like the concept of K through 12, I think is even outdated. But the entire thing should be marketized instead of people pissing basically away their money to pay for administrators and teachers that ain't worth a damn so they can indoctrinate your folk. Now, I'm also an advocate of until that ideal happens and you are able to keep the money in your hands, instead of the government stealing from you, be it whatever way, property tax or whatever way that they're stealing from you in order to subsidize their schools, I suggest not having your kids in them rotten sons of bitches. And that's where it gets all dicey because a lot of folks still think they're cocky enough to outdo or rather offset the indoctrination by way of the state. Now, this was something that Libs of TikTok does a great job of, as a Twitter account, great job of really posting that just the insane dipshittery that you're dealing with public education and their schools and their teachers, because on TikTok, they get real cocky about what it is they're doing. Like they have no shame in the fact that they are indoctrinating your children. They have no problem actually just flat out admitting it. Like this person right here, I'll mute that because I don't want to get struck. But if some person says, and you can see the text here, just before the sake of, I don't want you guys to turn off the video out of queerness. Out of that wasn't what I was trying to say, by the way. I don't want you to out of cringing. You know what I mean? I don't want you to get goosebump levels of cringe and then turn the video off if you are watching this after the fact on YouTube as a segment. But it is pretty queer. This person admits it. Anyway, says to the parents who refuse to educate their children on queerness. This is what it says in text. This is what this liberal or leftist says. I am an openly non-binary trans preschool teacher. Non-binary trans preschool teacher. They says, I talk to my students about pronouns, transness, gender expression, and sexuality. This is a preschool teacher, by the way. And they're bragging about it. And this isn't the first one. If you follow Libs of TikTok, you see this all the time. These teachers just really are loud, bold, proud, because they're all in on it, right? So you'll see every now and then someone will get made an example of. This person will be asked to resign, paid leave, or whatever it is. But on a serious note, this is something that expands far and wide throughout the public education system, all throughout all throughout this country. And if you think that you're just going to offset that, you're insane if you are still dropping your knothead kids off. And this account that retweeted it made a point and said, Libs sexually groom your kids while you're at work and brag about it on TikTok. These videos should be used to identify, fire, and put teachers on sex offenders list. But I like my man's Josiah, who apparently has some internet issues, haven't been able to put out he moved or something, and he hasn't been able to put out videos in a while. Josiah Rises. Some of you guys have seen him in some of the, Geese Gamers COD streams, seen him on his own channel doing his own thing, talking about everything. And I like the way that he puts it. He's quote tweeting the quote tweeter. He says, Libs sexually groom your kids while you're at work and brag about it on TikTok, while conservatives continue to foolishly send their kids to the lion's den. This is the conversation that really gets people going, and I'm all for having it, right? Because a lot of y'all don't want to accept, and I've asked this question before. We understand and embrace the fact that the teachers are shit for the most part, and these are indoctrination camps, right? So at what point does it become child abuse if you understand that the public education system is rotten, and not even just with that, other things as well. It's rotten, yet you still decide to drop your kids off at that. At what point does that become child abuse? But just from a cultural perspective, think about that. You are handing your children away to Caesar and not expecting them to become Romans. So, per usual, instead of pulling the plug, and there's different ways to do this. I talk about advocating for elimination of that. But again, until that ideal happens, you probably shouldn't put them in there. And you will get folks that respond, well, it's not that easy. Number one, nobody said it was. That's a complete non-argument. Number two, I am not at all convinced that folks that have looked at the alternative to public education have actually looked at the alternatives to public education, because a lot of folks are under this moronic impression that it costs all of this money to either have your kids homeschooled or going to a private school or something of that nature. And it's not as nearly as expensive as what a lot of people have made it. You just have been conditioned, and I blame the public education system for that, conditioned to believe that it's like that, which to me is how the public education system continues to have you dropping your kids off of there because you think this is the best case scenario. Yet you understand how fucked that system is. I would advise you get them the fuck up out of there. And it's not going to be easy depending on your living standard or living situation. But I always talk about sacrifice. And if you're not going to do it for the children or for your own kid, who the hell else would you do it for? If not for them, then for who? If not for them, then for who? Because right now, you know it's fucked. You know these teachers have been emboldened. Yet you continue to drop them off. And this is why I love what Josiah says, because he's acknowledging the reality. Yeah, we could talk all day about how they shouldn't be in these positions, but you still entrusting that system to educate your children. You're still doing that. That's still a fundamental problem. You know it's fucked, and you still drop your children off there because it's maybe more easier because, hey, I'm being taxed to pay for it. So I might as well drop them off. I don't have to worry about it. You treat it as just like maybe a glorified daycare system while they, again, poison your children in more ways than one. Remember this was kind of something that we talked about this with, what was that? Oh, it's a guy that's in the topic of conversation. A lot of guys you said I was being too harsh about. Jack Murphy. Remember we had this same conversation because Jack Murphy and I got into it about putting it was about the COVID stuff, but it was the same thing. Like, what the hell are you you know it's rotten, yet you continue to drop your kid off of there. Oh, it's not that easy. It's not that easy. Everybody's like, I understand what he's saying, Eric. You're too rough on him. You don't understand because you haven't put all these children in his world. Like, first of all, I don't know why the fuck why you think I would have a child and then proceed to give them to the state like that. I don't know what you guys think of me, but you got me fucked up. But it's funny how now all of a sudden everybody looking at that other guy because of what happened on You Are Here, and they're like, oh, well, that guy's an asshole. Well, I was trying to tell y'all that before, and y'all ragged on me. No. How about you keep shilling for that motherfucker? Anyway, that's a little bit of a side note. The point here is that, guys, look into alternatives. I understand that you have been conditioned. I understand that you have been led to believe that this is the way that it should be handled. And you think playing musical chairs or yelling at your school board and all those are the answers to that. We just got to get the right people in those positions. It's a position that should not exist anyway. As in the public education. Think about how stupid that is, that the state steals from you to subsidize a school that no matter how rotten it is, your child, if they are to go to a public school, is forced to go to. And some people say, well, school choice. Me, I don't think that goes anywhere near far enough. I think once people have been kind of more privy to the idea of some alternative, the alternative needs to be pushed for. School choice doesn't go nearly as far enough. In fact, you deal with a lot of the same shit. How about this? Elimination. And then the people that are being taxed to subsidize this mess, I don't know, just get to keep their money. And then everybody can decide where they want to go to school, how they want to teach their children. And maybe folks then come to realize that this whole K through 12 system is just some state bullcrap that has been propped up and probably wouldn't be a thing because it's outdated and archaic considering how fast information spreads these days. Get rid of it. These teachers are so bold that because they know how they cocky. They cocky. They know you ain't going to do shit. So they like, yeah, I'm indoctrinating your kids. What you going to do about it? And you going to sit there and go scream at the school board and they ain't going to do nothing. You just watched a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcanonsake.com.